Hey, everybody. Welcome to Courageously You with Martha. I am your host, Martha Davis Alexander, and you are on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You can reach me if you so desire at marthadalexander@gmail.com or at courageouslyyoucoaching.com or my special phone number, 805-422-6865. I love to hear from you. Today, I have a really special guest. This is a dear friend of mine. We're talking about health is your lifestyle. And quite frankly, the same is true. Your lifestyle is your health. That reflects your health, right? My guest is Regina O'Neill. She is a certified health coach and an Arbonne independent consultant. And she's a very dear friend of mine. And she is just a wealth of information and knowledge. So I'm so excited to have you on my show, Regina.
Thank you, Martha. It's amazing to be here, I have to say.
Oh, so tell me, so you have a whole story about health right now and why this is an important topic specifically today or specifically right now. Tell me.
Well, I've been talking to people about the importance of exercise and healthy living for a number of years now. But recently, I had an episode in my life that gave me a whole other awareness of why it's so important to have our bodies strong. And something happened that I never anticipated. But as you know, I'm an avid hiker. Mm-hmm. And I just absolutely love doing it. And I was out hiking with my daughter. It was on Halloween. Beautiful sunrise morning hike. And one little wrong step with on some slippery leaves on a steep downhill, and I took a really bad fall and ended up fracturing my ankle in 3 places.
Man.
The first awareness was, oh my gosh, we are almost a mile and a half out on this trail, and I have to get back. And thankfully, your body goes into this altered state almost, and you just know you have to do what you have to do. So we very slowly got me to my feet. I didn't realize I had broken anything at that point. And I gingerly and slowly made my way back on a fractured ankle.
A mile and a half?
1.3 miles. Yeah.
Holy heavens.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long way. First of all, that's a long way for me to walk anyway. But walking that far on and I know that your ankle was fractured in 3 places. I know you had a multiple fracture issue. So that's amazing that you walked out.
Yeah, I had to. I had no choice. And you kind of, my son, I was talking to my son about it, and he says, your body goes into shock. So you don't feel, you obviously weren't feeling as much pain. But I had to do it. I had to get out. I had to get back to the car so I could drive home and get this treated. So yeah, I did make it to the car, had surgery. And so now I'm at home recovering. And I'll tell you, I've never broken a bone before. I've never had a serious injury in a leg before. So I didn't know really before what it was like to simply get around. Just to do anything. And I have this wonderful little knee scooter that I use. But even with that, it takes tremendous strength to just get anything done. And it occurred to me, oh my gosh, this is another reason to encourage people to exercise and get their bodies strong, because you never know what could happen. I mean, an injury can happen at any time. As I've been experiencing this, I've of course been talking with people, and they'll say, oh, I broke my ankle. I stepped wrong on a step in a house, or I stepped off a curb wrong. I mean, you don't have to be hiking on a rigorous trail.
Right.
To injure yourself, it can happen anywhere. And I realized how thankful I am that my body is strong, because I'm able to lift myself up. I'm able to, my right leg, both legs are really strong from the hiking, but my right leg was so strong, it's been able to support me. And I thought how much harder it would be to be coping with this if a person wasn't in good physical strength, in good shape.
Yeah, because even I think you and I were talking, even taking a shower
Oh,
or taking care of, other bodily needs, it wipes you out, right?
yeah.
It's a whole, you have to get yourself prepped for it mentally
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
all of that. It's a lot of work being injured, and it can happen so easily, right? So being fit,
Yeah.
and you guys got to know Regina is very fit. She likes me anyway. Um, she is an avid hiker. She rides horses. She's just a very fit, and she and I are both. I hope you don't mind me saying this. In over 50. Actually, well, I'm
I'm
over
over
60.
60.
We're both over 60, right?
Yeah.
And so injuries at our age, right, and with our bones and various other things are just more likely to happen.
Hmm.
And so the importance of being strong and being fit, right? And it doesn't happen all at once. How you've spent years becoming the avid hiker and the
Yeah.
doing the strength training that you do, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely something that has accumulated over time. I mean, I've been active for most of my life, and I exercise in different ways. I've done almost every type of exercise you can do. I landed on hiking in the last 5 years and realized, oh my gosh, this is my love. This is it. But life happens, and so when the kids were young and I was so busy with them, particularly in their teen years, I ended up doing what so many of us women do. I was not taking care of myself. I wasn't exercising then. So I had to come back to it in later years and just work myself back up to, the level of fitness that I wanted to be at.
Yeah. And so did you start just slowly? How did you do that? What
Started really slowly. And that's what I recommend. Sometimes people think I'm going to start working out and they go to the gym and they just blow it all out and then they're dying for an hour for a few days after and they realize I don't want to do that again. So I started really slowly. Um, Started like just going for walks in the neighborhood. And I thought I'm going to start really slowly and just build myself up. So at first, for a few days, it was 15 minutes. And then I realized, well, this is ridiculous. I can do more than that. But for some people, that might be plenty. So you do you start out with walking 15 minutes and then a week later extend it to 20 minutes. And so just building up 5 minutes at a time in little increments. And before you know it, you're easily walking 30, 45 minutes at pace and you can feel your breath rate getting up and your heart rate getting up and you realize, wow, I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I started on flatter trails too, and then built up to the more rigorous trails.
I love that. And I love the message because I think sometimes we take our strength for granted, right? We can do stuff or whatever for granted. And I think being injured, your injury and how you have talked about it was like, wow, that is a big message. And that's really why I wanted you to come
Yeah.
share it because it's so important.
It is.
To
You don't realize how much you need a strong body until you really need a strong body.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do Pilates. I use a reformer and go to a gym, but I sometimes I take weeks off, right? And then I notice I am less stable. My ankles are less stable, my knees are less stable going down a flight of stairs than I was when I was going and doing Pilates every day, right? That I needed that strength in order to do that. So, yeah.
For sure. But then there's other reasons. Part of my health coach certification program has opened me up to some really wonderful educational resources. And a couple of years ago, I watched a seminar by a neuropsychiatrist who's well known in that world. His name is Dr. John Rady. And he spoke about the impact of exercise on our brains. And that was another oh my gosh, I have to spread this word about this.
So tell me about how, I mean, so in a general, right? You know that if you exercise, you get endorphins, and that makes you feel good, right?
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. But what Dr. Rady talks about is he's published papers on it. Actually, the Mayo Clinic did a review of 1,600 papers on this, and it's the impact of exercise on the cognitive ability of our brains and throughout our lives. And this is something that maybe people don't realize. We all know that exercise builds muscle mass and supports our bones, but how many people know how much exercise has to do with the health of our brains, literally? And it's more than just our emotional health, it's our cognitive health.
Wow, I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Yes. When we exercise at the cardiac training rate, our body produces a molecule called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And it's literally called Miracle Grow for our brains. And if you remember, Martha, when you and I were growing up in our earlier adult years, we would hear that, your brain grows up to a certain point, and then it slows down in its production of new cells.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now known, medicine now knows that that's actually not the case. Our brain can continue creating new and healthy brain cells throughout our entire lives. And this is so important for the quality of our lives, our cognitive abilities, our long-term memory, our ability to just function, to learn new information. We can keep doing that. And exercise is so much a part of supporting that process. So this BDNF is just an amazing substance, and it's being studied, and they're finding that it's just remarkable in what it does for us.
Yeah. I have actually never heard that, Regina.
I know a lot of people haven't.
Spent together, you've never told me that. That's amazing that not only is it good, I know it's good for my self-confidence, right? I know it's good for that. I did not know that it helps you regenerate brain cells or brain cells or whatever. That's amazing. And makes you want to exercise more, right? Because it's a total body health, right? It's mind, body, and spirit emotionally, right?
Yes.
Exercise is good for your entire essence.
Everything. Yes, it is. It's totally, the exercise, it's actually, the research is showing that it helps, it can prevent the incidence of Alzheimer's.
Really?
It can prevent the incidence of dementia. Yes, this is Dr. Rady has a book. I brought it. It's called Spark. And it's the revolutionary new science of exercise in the brain. And he talks about, you can see how many little tabs I've done. And he talks about this. It's just remarkable. I'm going to read a section of it in a minute, if you don't mind, about the nurses' health study. But it is just remarkable what it can do for long-term memory, and like I said, the impact of dementias and Alzheimer's. It's just, it's so important for us to be moving our bodies. Think about it. Way back when, millennia ago, we were hunter-gatherers, and our bodies evolved for survival in that environment. And so our bodies evolved, and our brains evolved, and the frontal part of the brain developed, and that's where we were able to, figure out situations and so on. And all of this was because when we were hunter-gatherers, we were moving an average of 8 to 10 miles a day. Yeah. And so that's what we've evolved. That kind of movement is what's, natural to us. But our current lifestyles in the civilization in which we live have taken away that movement in our days. We all live pretty sedentary lives. Yeah. And so it's so important that we intentionally reintroduce movement into our daily lives.
So, you just kind of, a light bulb just kind of went off for me, right? I have dealt with my mom, my dad, and my neighbor, right? All getting old, and as soon as they stopped moving and doing things, really it was use it or lose it. And that was not only for their body, but it was for their minds. And that just kind of, those dots just connected for me, that if you are not out there doing and being, right, as you get older, and they were all in their 80s, so but if you're not doing that, that your brain it just clicked. Their brain just wasn't continuing to develop, and it all just started to shut down. So really important to keep moving, no matter who you are and where you are. And if you have elderly parents, take them for a walk, people.
Yeah, take them for a walk. Yeah, he talks about that with people who are older. And of course, if they have medical conditions, they should be checking with their doctors first. But as to what level of activity is healthy for them. But yes, just to go out and go for a walk. And that's literally one of the things Dr. Rady spoke about, is the importance of being out in nature. He said that is probably the most important thing for our brain health, is being in nature, and if possible, being with companionship, because it's the advantage of, the stimulation of being with a companion. But also there's something about being in nature that, I know I feel it when I'm out there. And I think I know it's not just woohoo.
It's not woo-woo. No.
Yeah.
Nature, we're meant to be in nature. We are. Man-made cement.
Yes, I know.
And well before.
It feels so much better to be walking on dirt. It just does. It just does.
Yeah. Well, sometimes during the day, right? If I'm really busy and I need earth, I will just simply go out and stand in my now dead grass. Yes. So Regina lives in the same area, right, of Southern California. We don't water our lawns. Regina, however, has a beautiful front yard that doesn't need water. I have not quite done that yet. But I go stand on my dead grass near my tree, right? Because I'm a tree girl. Yeah. And that is really rejuvenating for me, right? The standing, it really is. Being there and
getting out there, taking some really deep breaths.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start the day, to step outside and take some really deep breaths and just connect with all that around us. And I know that a lot of people live in cities and maybe they don't have an environment that's conducive to that, but even just getting to a park and walking through a park, finding trees somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Or going on, if you live in an apartment, go on your balcony and look up at the sky at night or in the morning, right? Because it's all, there's trees somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We have trees somewhere. Yes. Absolutely. I love that. And I never really connected the importance of that movement with the brain. Really never connected that until today.
Yeah, there's another aspect of movement also that I was taught through my health coaching program, and that was...
Hold, Regina. We are going to do that. We're going to have a commercial break. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I decided our audience is going to have to wait and come back after, stick with us, come back after the break. And Regina's going to give us even more ways that exercise benefits you, or being out there, having that healthy lifestyle benefits you long term. This is Regina O'Neill. And you can reach her at reginao'neill.arbonne.com. She's amazing. I love her dearly. This is Martha Davis Alexander. This is Courageously You with Martha. You can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com or at courageouslyoucoaching.com or at 805-422-6865. And we are on the Going Solo Network. Stay tuned. Dance with me, because we're going to start some movement with the music that's coming. So you can at least move while you're sitting down. My dog is really excited about this. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I love that music, and I always like to see all the fun things that are put together. All right, guys, this is welcome back to Courageously You with Martha. I am Martha Alexander. We are talking with my dear friend and who is a health coach, as certified health coach, as well as Arbonne independent consultant, my friend Regina O'Neill, who is talking to us all about, gosh, healthy lifestyle. Health is your lifestyle, and lifestyle really is dependent upon your health as well. As Regina's been talking about, right? We've talked about exercise so that you're strong if something happens and you need to recover. It's an easier recovery. We've talked about brain and health, right? We know about emotions, but that when you're exercising, your brain makes you make something, and Regina, BDNF, and that helps you grow more brain cells. Come on, people, you want that, and you want that. Okay, and Regina was I stopped her right before, so I hope you're all on the edge of your seats, Regina.
Okay, well, as I was saying, this was something else I learned through the health coaching program, is that another benefit of exercise. So turns out our bodies have our own internal pharmacies in them, that when our bodies are being treated and doing what they're supposed to do, they can release all kinds of things that are really healthy for us. And what that happens is when we are exercising, the blood starts moving quickly through the blood vessels. And there is a lining to the blood vessels. It's called the endothelium. And it's part of our endocrine system. This is something I had no idea about. It is the largest endocrine organ in our bodies. And what it does is, as that blood is rushing over it, because it's moving more quickly because of exercising, the endothelium releases these molecules. And one of them is called nitric oxide. And what that does, it's so important for vascular and heart health, because that nitric oxide helps to relax the blood vessels and helps to expand them. So what that does is it lowers blood pressure, and it can help to support the creation of dopamine and serotonin, which are so important for our mood. But and it also, again, the nitric oxide also helps to support the neurotransmitters in the brain. And there is a relationship between the nitric oxide and the BDNF. And I actually went to, research that. And I went down this rabbit hole of all these medical journals and really deep academic papers, and they were so deep. I just thought, okay, I trust the headline. There is a relationship between the two. But it's just remarkable, again, what exercise does for our bodies, that it just helps it release all of these helpful things to keep us.
Does that mean, Regina, that if we are not exercising, so let's say today I was supposed to exercise, which I was, but I got caught up in a conversation and that went away. So I'll have to do it tonight, that the molecules being released by that layer in my bloodstream that's related to the endocrine, that there's less being released into the bloodstream than there would be if the blood was moving faster.
Yeah. Definitely, if you want that nitric oxide release, you need to be exercising. So that's how it happens. It's when we're exercising. Okay. And that's why, sedentary people they're not living as healthy a lifespan, because our bodies need to be moving to be at their best. And I watched a wonderful lecture by a naturopath a couple of weeks ago, and she made this beautiful statement. She said, our bodies are innately intelligent, and they know what to do when they're given the right tools. And I just thought, wow, that was great. Yeah.
And one of those tools is to move your body.
Yeah, moving your body and eating properly. Yeah.
So is there I'm asking this question, right? How many days a week, or how often? I know optimally it would be daily, and you want to keep it up at for 20 to 30 minutes, right? But
Yeah, Dr. Rady likes 150 minutes a week of,
okay.
of aerobic exercise. So that could be 30 minutes a day for 5 days. Um, Dr. Steers in the program said 6 days a week. I haven't read anywhere that says 7 days a week. The recovery days are good too. Like
Yeah. So we're talking 100. Did you say 150 or 160 minutes?
minutes a week. So that's like, that would be 30 hours a minute, 5 days a week. So if someone were to decide, okay,
30 minutes a day, 5
yeah,
days. Yeah.
30 minutes a day, I'm going to start, making this part of my daily routine. Then it could be, in the morning before one goes to work, or
Or it could
one
be a
comes
walk,
or
a
one comes to,
15-minute walk in the morning and a 15-minute walk
yes,
at night.
yes, thank
Or
you.
a
Yes,
10-minute walk in the morning, a 10-minute walk at lunch, and a 10-minute walk at night.
yeah, as long as you're getting your heart rate up. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes
That is
it
the important
doable,
part.
right? You say it can be up to 30 minutes and you can divide it up, but you got to get that heart rate
Right.
up.
And then also, like Dr. Rady was recommending, if you're just starting out, don't start with a big goal in mind. Just start with, I'm going to start with this little bit each day and then build up from there. What I did once I got into really good shape was I decided, okay, I want to push myself, and I did set a big goal. And so the intention of going out was to prepare myself for this really rigorous hike that I was going to do with my 3
And
kids.
tell us what that was, because that was really special. Come on, Regina.
So special. It was.
Share,
It was
share,
one of the best days of my
share
life.
too.
I decided, I have been a Yosemite lover for my entire adult life since I've lived in California. My husband and I were married there, and I've always looked at those Yosemite Falls, and I've looked at the top, and I thought, wow, that's amazing up there. And so I decided I'm going to climb Yosemite Falls. And I said to my kids, you want to do this with me?
It's
And
an
said,
amazing
yeah.
climb. For those of you who haven't been to Yosemite, you can look it up. It is an amazing climb. I have not done it, but I have looked at it.
It's 3.5 miles pretty much straight up. And then my daughter and I added another mile to it. So it was phenomenal. But again, I set that, it was after I got myself into feeling like I was in pretty good shape. I thought, okay, now I'm going to set that goal for myself. And not everybody is going to want to do something as rigorous as that. But it was very motivating for me to be getting out there. And now it's like, okay, what's the next goal going to be? And I'm coming up with different ideas. So I have to figure that out once I'm recovered enough to start hiking again in a few months.
Yeah. But you were really, and that hike was like this year it
was in May.
May. It was in May. And you were really pushing your hikes and doing everything every day. You were going on hikes, and that was a big deal for you. It was really really cool to watch you. It was very inspiring.
Incredible. I felt like, wow, you just get such a boost from something like that. I just recommend it because you just get such a high from doing it.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to do the 15 minutes of walking.
You just start with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or rowing.
Or rowing. That's a good one too.
I do love to row. And I love my Pilates.
See, you got to do, it's important to do something that you love. Whatever it is you do, whether it's Zumba or yoga or Pilates or whatever it is.
CrossFit. Taibo back in the day, man. I love Taibo.
Martial arts. Find whatever it is that you love, because then you're going to look forward to doing it. Because there's nothing worse than doing exercise you don't like. It's such drudgery. It is. So you got to love it. One other thing I wanted to mention while we still have time is one of the other things that Dr. Rady researched was the impact of exercise on ADD and ADHD.
Really?
Yes. And so he did some studies. They did some programs with middle schools. They did a couple of them across the country. And one that he cites in the book is a study that he did at a middle school. It was somewhere in Kansas, I believe. And they were having a lot of disciplinary referrals, just constant discipline problems. So they started a program where the first 45 minutes of the morning, the kids all went and did some sort of exercise. And they had different types, and it was all fun. They had, they had a rock wall. They had they had like the Zumba type thing. But it was all aerobic, like even rock climbing can be aerobic. And 45 minutes a day. And they saw such a huge decrease in the number of discipline problems. It was really remarkable. So it's just so important for kids to be moving too. And I know a lot of the schools have been, pulling out the PE, and they can't do that. It's like, it's so important.
Right. That and the arts are really important
Oh,
to
agree. Yeah.
development and growth and all of that. But
Yes.
it's true. You can't keep a kid, they have to be able to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, another dot connected. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
Regina.
Yeah. And then I referred to in the book, I grabbed this because I was looking through the book before we got on, and there was a landmark research project called the Nurses' Health Study. And it began surveying the health habits of more than 122,000 nurses over 2 years.
Oh.
And they started in the 70s. And in 1995, the researchers began cognitive testing. And they found the relationship between, they looked at the relationship between exercise level and cognitive ability for 18,766 women between 70 and 81 years old. So this like really peaks up my head because, we're coming, we'll be in that. It said the results published in the Journal of the AMA powerfully underscored the hunch of the lead researcher, who is Harvard epidemiologist Jennifer Weave. So it said the women with the highest levels of energy expenditure had a 20% lower chance of being cognitively impaired on tests of memory and general intelligence. I mean, that was remarkable.
That is remarkable.
Remarkable. It said the median level of activity for this group translated to walking 12 hours a week or running just under 4 hours total. So this was a huge study that directly showed, compared like that the
Not
activity
sure I could run 4 hours a week, nor that I could walk 12 hours a day. That would be a lot of walking.
No,
but
12 hours a week. 12 hours a week.
12 hours a week.
So that's like an hour and a half a day, right? Or an hour and a quarter a day. Yeah.
Wow.
But it adds up. You'd be surprised at how much we walk just in our daily lives too.
Yeah, other than working from home, I don't walk very much. But yes, I get up and get my tea or whatever. I'm sure I need to add to that, right? So wonder how many steps that is, right? So like the whole Fitbit goal of getting to 10,000 steps a day.
The Apple Watch.
Or the Apple Watch, right? Of getting to 10,000 steps a day is always, or set a smaller goal and just see if you can match it, right? And don't go to sleep until even if you have to walk around your house.
Work your way up. You'd be surprised at how much you walk, actually, if you start tracking it. And that actually can be really encouraging. So let's say just in your house, you're doing a few thousand steps. You realize, oh my gosh, well, if I had a walk to that, I could get over 5,000. And then if I had another walk to that, I could.
Yeah.
I was doing that for a while, right? Wearing my Fitbit. But then my husband decided that he would do it too. And he would come home with like, I walked 25,000 steps today and be like, I was so excited with my 10,000.
But you see, you know better than to compare.
I do. Still, it was like just so deflating at the time.
What you preach.
It was so deflated. But that was back in the day when I didn't have the tools I have now.
Okay.
Wow. Called out. Thanks, Regina. That was awesome.
Snap.
So how much you really have just brought home how much our health is related to our lifestyle, right? And how much our lifestyle is dependent upon our health, right?
Yeah.
How we live, how we choose to live now is going to make how we live later, right? We're designing our later years now by what we do now.
Yes. Yeah. There's a great quote by Dr. Rady. Getting older is unavoidable, but falling apart is not.
I do like that quote.
Isn't that great?
That is great.
That's one to put on the mirror to look at every
Yeah.
morning.
Growing old doesn't have to be, my dad used to say growing old is for wimps, or is not for wimps, right? It takes a lot of, and I think that some preparation now makes for an easier time. Not that I'm not going to have my aches and pains. I understand I am, but what we can do right now.
And being mentally, this whole thing about, I will never, ever, ever say I'm growing old. I think that's just something that doesn't serve us well. We are moving through our decades, and we have to adjust some things for that. But, with these later decades come all these blessings of this accumulation of wisdom over our lifetimes, right?
Every decade was better than the decade before.
For sure.
Right? There's no, my 30s were fabulous. My 40s, I thought were better than my 30s, and my 50s better than 40s. And now the 60s, I'm like, 60s rock.
They do.
Love
it. It's awesome.
60.
Yeah. I love it too. And I never thought I would, but yeah.
Right. I do think some of that is mental, right? And some of that is also based on what we do for our health, right? Mm-hmm. How active we are, what we do, and what we do with our life. I mean, I remember my grandmother at our age, at over 60, and she was active, but she adopted the thought of old, right?
Yeah.
She and it was I don't know that she had to, because I'm certainly my grandmother's age, and I don't feel anywhere near how she appeared to feel.
I think it was more of a tendency in decades before. I think there's much more awareness of, I think our peer group is much more wanting to live with complete vitality.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more mindful about it. It's also, fueling your body properly. That's another thing I talk a lot about, as is good nutrition and giving your body the fuel and the tools that it needs and deserves, because our bodies they're just these miraculous interconnected machines. They're beautiful.
They are absolutely perfectly designed.
Yes.
For optimal. Yes. So treating them and giving them the love and the tools. I loved what you said earlier about, and it was a quote from somebody else, but that if we give our bodies the tools that they need, that we can heal ourselves, we can do all these things. And it doesn't mean you're not going to get sick. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that your body is going to be more resilient to what you go through.
Yes. I think, and I'm not a medical professional, I would never say this, but I learned we do need medical intervention. I mean, I'm a cancer survivor and had, surgery to get rid of the cancer inside my body. But I remember my doctor saying to me, wow, you're healing really well. And I think that, when our bodies are treated well, they're able to heal well, is what you were getting at. Our immune systems are stronger. They just do better overall.
They work better. The body works the way it was meant to work, right?
Yeah.
The way it was designed to work.
Yes.
So, and part of that eating healthy, I know, is eating no processed food. We're going to leave you with no processed food. And I do eat processed sugar, just so you know.
Well, eat whole food.
I'm just eat what your grandmother would have recognized as food.
Yeah.
Eat what my grandmother would have recognized.
That's right.
As food.
Exactly.
Not your grandmother. Because your grandma might be my age, and I recognize some of the processed food that isn't really food. So, Regina, I have learned so much about exercise and the benefits to my brain, to kids, just overall health. You've given such a wealth of information on how truly our health is our lifestyle, and how truly our lifestyle depends on our health too. You nailed that.
So much
Thank you.
information. Thank you so much. If you guys want to reach out to Regina, she is a certified health coach and an Arbonne independent consultant. I buy my Arbonne from her. I love the shakes. I drink my coffee shake every single morning and love it. And it doesn't have byproducts or bad things in it. Arbonne is very good. Anyway, Regina O'Neill at .arbonne.com. And ask her questions, or if you didn't get the name of something, email her and ask her, because I know she's happy to share information and her wealth of knowledge. Don't ask me any questions about that topic, because I will just refer you to Regina.
Thank you. If I could just, and I'll interject my email address, because that's my Arbonne website. My email is regina.wellbeing, one word, wellbeing, @gmail.com.
Nice. Regina.wellbeing at gmail.com. I should know that. I know that because I do email you all the time, right? We email back and forth, but I just type in RE, right?
Yes,
and it
comes
up for me. So you guys, this has been Courageously You with Martha. I am your host, Martha Davis Alexander, and I just so enjoyed having you, Regina. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Going Solo Network, and people, be here at 3 p.m. Pacific every week for fascinating information that you will enjoy, or that you can at least put on a shelf somewhere if you want. It can be like that Santa Claus, the Christmas elf that changes shelves, right? Join us again, and your challenge, because if you follow me, you know that every time I issue a challenge, your challenge this week is to see how many minutes you can increase your movement this week between now and next Thursday. And I am going to commit. So, and yeah, my Pilates counts because it does. I do lack of breathing there. I lose my breath all the time. So I am going to commit to 4 hours of movement in the next week.
Great.
What was I'm supposed to commit to? What was it?
Well, 150 minutes, 16 to 150. Oh, 4 hours hits it. It's more.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to commit to 4 hours of movement. How about you? Now, keep in mind, we're in the beginning of December. So you got shopping, you got all kinds of stuff, and all that stuff counts, right? Going to the grocery store and going up and down those aisles. By the way, with this, stay on the outside aisles. All the processed stuff is in the inside aisles. Stay on the outside for your shopping. Anyway, that's my challenge. My challenge has been issued. Regina, you are excused from the challenge, given the fact that you are laid up with an injury. And I wish you all the best. Have a phenomenal week. And let's see how we feel next week, having moved. All right. Have a fabulous week, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Regina.